Hi, I'm Deepika Grover with Grover Mortgage Group.
And I'm Natalie Van Cardo with the Nat Nate Real Estate Team.
Welcome to our new podcast,
Real Estate of Mind,
where we discuss real estate, life, and everything in between.
We're excited for you to follow us and join in on our journey.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the pod.
Welcome back.
How have you been? What's going on?
Let's start with you because you got a lot happening. And I'll just kind of put my little 2 cents in after.
Okay, all right. Let's do a quick recap of our weeks. I think that will be helpful for everyone listening to see like what's going on in the market, what we've been working on. Some wins, some loses, some losses, some losses.
Losses.
Okay. I'm not ESL, you guys. Okay, so in the past couple of weeks, I've been closing a lot of pre-construction homes, a lot more than resale homes that I've been getting, and I have a bunch in my pipeline for the next couple of months too. Is that what you've been seeing?
So just to clarify with you, so like these have been deals that you've either helped people originally.
No, people have purchased, like through you or another real estate agent. And
through the builder.
Through the builder.
Yes. So you've pre-qualified them before, and now it's time to close.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like multiple years later.
Yes. So you're seeing them close. I've actually had somebody call me because I have a listing in the same development that he purchased in, and he wants to liquidate it. Like he's like, I don't care if I'm taking a loss. I want to get it sold. So I have a call with him later today to kind of discuss what that looks like. But I've
like sold on assignment,
but it closes at August 30th. So it's a little too late. So I've sent him to our lawyer that like a lawyer I recommend that's really good with this stuff.
Right.
To see if there's any way to help him. But so like I'm seeing a little bit different.
Yeah.
I have another client that's coming up to closing. They prefer to assign, but they are going to figure out if they need to close it or not, which it looks like it is. Just I'm seeing in terms of assignments, there's so much options for people. So they're
because everyone's probably trying to offload, right?
Yes. So we're seeing the opposite of what you're kind of seeing.
I'm seeing, my clients also like purchased years and years ago. So like they purchased for a lower amount. So I think people get scared and want to offload when they see their appraisals are not coming back at the correct value.
Yeah.
And then they have no way to bridge that gap. That's not happening with my clients because they purchased back in, pre-pandemic times where prices were lower.
Yeah.
So their purchase prices are coming back, like the market value. I'm actually able to get a couple of my clients loans based on the market value, like based on the appraised value right now versus their purchase price. So I'm actually able to even put money back into their pockets.
That's very good. So we're seeing kind of things increase in that sort of sense because we were seeing the opposite a couple months ago.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
I've also been doing refinances to help people clean up debt that has been accumulated over the pandemic. A lot of refinances, a lot of second mortgages because people don't want to get out of their first because a lot of people are locked into really good rates.
Yep.
Along the same lines, I'm seeing a lot of sky-high amortizations. For people who are in variable rate mortgages with banks like TD and RBC, their payments didn't change even though prime was changing. So their entire payment is interest only and none of it is going to principal. I'm seeing 99-year amortizations.
Can you explain that a little bit better for people to kind of understand? So they were on variable, which means their rate was changing or their rate stayed the same.
Their rate changed, but their payment didn't change.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Which is a dangerous thing because it's okay if prime changed once, but prime changed significantly. So their payment didn't change. So the entire portion of their payment is just going to interest. Yeah. It's not going to principal.
I had a client go to the bank recently and he was looking at his payments. He's like, great, I've been renting my house for a year and a half. No, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. One of my clients actually would need a second mortgage to do renovations because they're looking to sell in the future. So just to prepare to sell, they wanted a second mortgage, like in terms of a home equity line of credit. Yeah. And they didn't want to touch their first. And I was like, okay, that's fine. The charge against their house is for $1.5 million, like the registered charge from the first lender.
Okay.
But their current mortgage amount is $1.528. So they've gone even over their registered charge amount because that's accumulated interest. So that's something that's pretty dangerous happening right now in the market. And a lot of people don't know that when it comes time for renewal, you have to pay that off to the bank in terms of cash or in terms of refinancing. And hopefully you have equity in the house that you're able to refinance, but you have to pay the interest to the bank or they won't let you renew.
The interest that's owing.
Yeah.
And that's only for variable.
This is only going to happen to people who are in variable rate mortgages and only with banks such as TD, RBC. I believe CIBC is in the same boat as well. Scotiabank is not. Scotiabank has variable, but they have something that's called an adjusted rate mortgage, which means as prime changes, your payment changes too to keep you in line with your 25, 30 or whatever your amortization is. It'll keep you aligned with that.
Okay, so I'm going to just pose as like I'm a consumer who doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
So if I'm with TD or RBC, like you said, my payment amount monthly hasn't changed. So when I go to renew, can you explain that again? What will happen? So if my renewal is next year, what can I expect?
That if you are not in line with your amortization, like if you haven't increased your payment or if you haven't been putting chunks, like lump sum payments on your mortgage to bring down your amortization, whatever amount you're over your amortization will be looked at like as like deferred interest or like arrears, mortgage arrears, and you are expected to pay that upon renewal.
So let's say the average mortgage is $1 million.
Yeah.
What cost could they roughly? I know you don't have the math right now.
I wouldn't be able to say because it depends on what their rate is. It depends what discount off of prime they got.
Okay.
But just taking like an actual tangible situation, like my clients, they're $28,000 over what their registered amount is. But at the end of 2022, they were at 1.48 and now they're at 1.528. So they were paying down their mortgage. It's not that they never paid down their mortgage. Like their original loan amount was 1.5. They paid it down to 1.48. Now they're back up to 1.528.
Did they have any equity that you could help with a second mortgage or were they tapped out?
No, they do have equity, which is good. So we're doing a debt consol. We're saving some money for renovations. And then I'm also going to advise them to put some money aside to pay off the arrears because they're going to need to, or else the bank won't let you renew.
It's crazy because a lot of this stuff you don't really know unless you're in the business.
Yeah.
If I was just a blank consumer,
no, but also
I would
this
have
has
no
never
idea.
happened before.
Yes,
when
that's
have
true.
people ever been in 99-year amortizations? Never, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because it was unprecedented times. Interest rates went down really quickly and then they went up really quickly and people were like, oh, what do we do? And unfortunately, nobody was advising anybody differently. Nobody was educating the client, right? So
No.
Yeah.
I'm in shock.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I've been seeing a lot of that recently, and my final thought is hopefully resale will pick up once interest rates decrease. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we haven't, so with the last rate announcement, we haven't really seen much of a change in the marketplace.
Yeah.
In terms of like more homes being sold. I think the rate of listings has stayed the same. We do have a couple listings and they're kind of like we get good showings. It's just, again, the buyers really need incentive to make a decision and they're just taking it step by step. I think it's July 24th, the next rate announcement.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see what happens then. My buyers that I'm working with, again, they're just really slow paced. There's no urgency because
people
they have
still
options.
waiting. Yeah, and people are still waiting for the market.
We're
to
putting in
drop a little bit
offers.
more.
So like what I've been noticing, so one of these groups I'm working with, we've been putting in offers and going back and forth several times, even after our offers expired with the sellers. But I keep telling my clients the property's too fresh on the market and the sellers are still unrealistic at what they can get. So days on market will help with us in those regards. So kind of just let's sit and watch.
Yeah.
And if they get an offer, we can always put one in, but it's more of like a watch and wait game. Because what they're listed at is kind of over what the sales have been in the market in that like the last 180 days is what we typically look at. So yeah. And then from last year to this year, I think for kind of lower in terms of value from last year.
Like sales value.
Sales value. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been seeing that too. I've been seeing some sellers really adamant upon getting the price they want. And I'm like, do you not know what kind of market you're in right now?
Yeah.
There has to be a little bit of adaptability, right? Like,
Literally one person, I'm like, is it the price that you care about or is it the closing date? Because they've already bought and purchased and like they're going to be closing soon. So I'm like, one of them has to go. They got to be
100%.
somewhat flexible.
Like if you're have a sense of urgency, you have to drop the price, right?
Yeah. So we haven't seen it with the ones that we've been going back and forth with. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think the best course of action for my clients are just kind of wait, because unless there's a recent sale, I'm not going to tell them jump in on this property based on what their criteria is. And they also have a lot of options. So like each day new properties come out, we go out, they like that one more. So they have time, which is for all buyers. It's not just my clients included. So I think sellers really need to understand that there's so much option out there. And you really need to give the buyer some sort of incentive to go for your property.
What are you seeing in terms of average days on market?
We're over 30 typically.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some anomalies here or there. But that literally 1 week could be really good. The other week could be quiet. So it really depends if you've hit that little sweet spot, which we can't gauge. Like there's no way of us saying, oh, this week's going to be active or whatever.
Yeah.
So there are anomalies, but I would say the average is around 45 to 60 days.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a difference from pandemic times when things were flying off the market in a couple of days.
The other thing is, like, when you have a listing, it is so important for you to go out and see the competition in your immediate neighborhood. Like, I don't think agents do that enough. Like, I even take my seller out to go see what's out there.
That's
I'm like, let's go see, because you're up against this house.
And then it gives them a perspective.
Exactly.
Because sellers are very biased when it comes to their own house. And I would be too if I was selling my own asset. I'd be like, I deserve top dollar for this. But I think that's really helpful what you do.
Yeah.
Because then it actually gives them, it's like black and white fact.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. They need, well, it's good to see like, hey, this is priced at the same price as mine, maybe a little bigger, but it doesn't have this. So we can kind of go back and forth and maybe even adjust our price a little bit to account for some feedback that we're going to be getting from the buyers.
Yeah, because it just makes you as a realtor look bad if your property is overpriced amongst everything else listed in that neighborhood.
Well, and then the other thing is when a buyer's going through, they're not just looking at our house. They're going to go see all these other properties. So I, as an agent, need to be informed about what the difference are between these homes, because pictures and reality sometimes are very different. And a layout can look really good in photos, and then in person, it's like, actually, it's a lot smaller. So I need to know what I'm up against.
And then you also have to be prepared, because that real estate agent could come back and be like, hey, for what reason is your property listed so much higher than all these other ones? Like, what do you have to offer, right?
Yeah.
And then you're kind of like, oh, because my seller wanted to, but that's not a good enough answer.
As the agent, right? I need to be able to justify the price and like work on my behalf for my sellers.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. No, that's really good. I like that you do that, because I know sellers. I just heard of another story of this person who is listed for, I think, like 1.78. And they got an offer for 1.6, but they didn't want to sell because they thought their property was worth more. And now they're getting no other offers, but they're closing on another house in a month, and they've already extended it. So they're paying extra dollars per day to extend. So it's like, for me, I don't think of a primary residence as an investment. Even if I'm bought it for whatever price and I'm selling it for even a little bit lower when I go to move to a different one, that's okay. Like, I spent time in here. I enjoyed it, whatever the case may be. I don't look at it as an investment. An investment property is an investment where you should actually be looking to profit.
See, I look at it differently. Both should be giving you a return on investment.
But if they're not, I don't think it's logical to hold on to something and delay it and then maybe end up with a worse offer than what you started with.
Yeah.
Especially in a market like this.
So, but you're educated and you kind of know what to expect, and you kind of see the trajectory of a project too.
Yeah.
So a couple thousand here or there, like for me, 20 to 30,000, if I'm holding it, does it make a difference for me to hold a property?
Exactly.
But for some people, they're really stuck on the number.
Yeah.
So I'll give you guys an example. I had a client last year, and we listed for, let's say, $1 million, and I got her $990. So literally $10,000 difference.
Yeah.
She didn't want to take it.
Oh God.
Okay. So she let it all go for $10,000. And then her pocket just started to decrease in value, like day over day, day over day. So we took it off the market and she's like, I should have taken that offer. I'm like, you should have. It was a very good offer. But in her head, she had a number that she was fixated on. And even though she wasn't getting it, she got something really close and should have considered it.
So did she end up she didn't end up selling at all?
We've pivoted. So she bought a construction condo. She's going to stay there for a little bit.
Okay.
And then
Hopefully
she will sell once that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
For primary residence, I'm a lot more lenient in terms of value than I would be for an investment property.
But this is where emotion versus logic come into play.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are really attached to their property and they only are driving through emotion, where as the realtor, we're here to provide logic, understand your emotion, yes, but like also weigh the options for you.
It's the same in the stock market. That's what Warren Buffett.
It's a Monday, don't worry.
Oh my God. Warren Buffett says you got to keep the emotions out of it, right? Like
You do.
It has to be, because if you're going to emotionally do things, which I get, I have been in that situation multiple times, but you have to pull the trigger at some point.
Well, you literally have to take yourself out of it and be like, is this worth losing this deal for $10,000?
Yeah.
Which in most cases, no.
No.
So, yeah. But when people are emotionally attached to a property, I find it's the hardest sale to do.
For me, I'm like $10,000 over how many years have you lived there? Say you've lived there 10 years.
Yeah,
you know,
$1,000.
$1,000 a year
you're
you're losing. It's like, that's fine. You made memories there. You grew there, whatever the case may be. But we can just advise, right? We can't control people at the end of the day.
No, we cannot. I wish I could.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm just kind of interested to see what the new interest rate, if that plays any part in the market, because the numbers came out for June and they weren't great. And I personally haven't seen any fluctuation from the last decrease, but it was very small.
That's the thing. Like, how much can 25 bips do? Like, people aren't qualifying any better at 25 bips.
Yeah, so I think we need a couple more, but with the new interest inflation going up, I'm hoping they start bringing it down, because the inflation went up because of what? Mortgage rates.
Mortgage payments.
Come on.
It's such a catch-22.
It is, but they need to. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that tangent.
We're not talking about politics today.
No, thank you. Okay, so
today's going to be a fun one.
Yes,
Natalie's really excited about this one.
I am. I'm a nerd when it comes to like personality tests and like learning more about who you are. So we did the Enneagram test.
Literally like 20 minutes ago.
Yes, I've done it before, but I totally forgot my numbers.
Do you want to explain what it is? An
gosh.
Enneagram? Because I didn't know. I know the 16 personality test one, but I don't know about this one. So
I think
explain
the Enneagram,
what it is.
Let me get the definition, because it is one of the older tests.
Yeah, it's really popular, which I just learned today.
How it works. Let's just go with how it works.
Basically, it's 16 pages of questions, which was so fun. And they give you like 3 or 4 numbers that are your categories.
Usually it's one. Usually like your one number. But
wait, actually?
Yes. Usually like your one number.
I have 4. I have 4.
Yeah. So I think I had 4, 2, 3 strong and 1 extra. So basically it's a personality test and groups you into 9 numbers. So 9 categories. And
wait, why do we have 4 if we're supposed to have 1?
What's personality disorders? I don't know. What's the person? So do you want me to go over the personality types? Because I can't really find a definition here.
I think we explained what it is.
Okay, yeah, it's a personality test. That's basically what it is.
It is, yeah.
All right.
So our results, you do yours first.
Hold on, let me just get the picture up that goes over the overview of.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, it categorizes you into 9 personality traits.
It's like a pie graph, and then it shows you which slices are the biggest.
Yeah. So typically,
cool.
when I hear, like when I've done it with people, they have like 1 dominant, but we had kind of like 2 dominant.
I had 4 dominant. They were like pretty much all the same size. I went through them, and we'll go through them here with you guys, but mine were very accurate. Like mine to the T.
Yeah. So I am 8, 1, and 3. So the 8 is the challenger.
Was that your biggest?
You're 8. Yeah, we
Okay,
both
that
were
was my
8,
biggest
which
too,
makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
The next one was the perfectionist, which
Makes sense for you.
And then
I did
the
not get that.
Third was the achiever, and then my close but not as close as these two was the individualist. And then for you, you were 8, 7, 3, 2.
I was 8. Yeah, so 8, the challenger, which I'll explain what it's powerful, dominating, self-confident, decisive, willful. So we're both of that, which makes sense. Obviously, being in this industry, you kind of have to have those traits. 7 is the enthusiast. So the busy, fun-loving type, spontaneous, versatile, distractible, and scattered, which...
But also acquisitive.
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, you're acquisitive.
I have all of those. I'm very spontaneous, very versatile. I can be distracted and I can be scattered. The achiever, number 3, success oriented, adaptive, excelling, driven, image conscious, which I'm not very image conscious.
Yeah, I think 3 was my third, which because it's all like, can you see your future and all that stuff? Where I'm not great at that.
I would say I am very success oriented and I am driven, but I'm not image conscious. And then the last one I had, which was still pretty big, is caring, which was demonstrative, generous, people pleasing.
Yeah.
Did you have 2?
Sorry?
Did you have 2? Like number 2?
No, I didn't have number 2.
Oh,
no,
so
I
you're
was
not caring.
You're not
Wow,
a giver.
good to know. Good to know.
No, I was instead of 2, I was 4. So I'm the challenger, which is the same as you: self-confident, decisive, willful, and confrontational, which people know that I am.
I'm so confrontational. Oh my God. I'm like the queen of confrontation.
But my thing is, when people are adverse to confrontation, like my husband will run the other direction. He hates confrontation.
That's
where
interesting.
I'm like, let's
Talk
nip
about
it in the
it.
butt
And get it over with. Move along. Yeah.
Like he will avoid situations with people just because he won't want to say his feelings.
Yeah.
And like this, one of our biggest challenges in our relationship, I'm like helping him get over.
Yeah.
Because he just.
That's avoidant attachment. We should do attachment styles next time.
Oh yeah, we should.
This is actually turning into a therapy podcast.
Yeah, so that's like our biggest thing, where I will, if I have anything wrong with anybody, let's just talk about it. The perfectionist, which my daughter will be like, why does everything have to be so perfect?
But you're a perfectionist. We've talked about it.
It's bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
You're like,
don't know
Nathan,
why.
you're not cleaning properly.
So I'm principled, which is true. Purposeful, yes. Self-controlled, and a perfectionist. Yep. And
I'm not even surprised I didn't get that one. I am so far from perfection. I'm like that said, I'm scattered, okay? I'm like ADHD up in here.
we complement each other. And then the last one is the achiever, which is adaptable, which I'm not always great at that. Excelling, driven, and image conscious. So we both had the same.
We had the same, yeah.
I'm driven.
I am very driven. I'm not very image conscious. I don't care about perception.
Well, I think we talked about the last time that once we've hit our age, we just
Stop caring.
I cared as a child, and then as a teenager. Now, no, you get what you get.
Get what you get.
I'm gonna live free.
100%.
YOLO. Okay. And then the individualist, which is expressive, dramatic, self-absorbed. What? I don't think I'm self-absorbed. And temperamental.
I wouldn't say you're individualistic. Like, you literally work on a team.
Yeah. I'm
I wonder what answers you pick to get that one.
expressive and dramatic. I can be dramatic,
I'm dramatic.
but I don't think I'm self-absorbed. I will draw it there. I'm not self-absorbed.
Oh my God, so I got this new necklace with my initial on
really
it.
like it.
And my cousins were like, oh, D for Deepika. They're like, that's quite narcissistic. And I was like, narcissistic or self-love? Let me know.
I like it. It was
It's cute, right?
It's very nice.
And who else's initial am I supposed to have?
Yeah.
They're like, well, it would have been cute if you had a boyfriend and you put his initial. And I'm like, I would never in a million years wear the initial of my boyfriend around my neck. Thank you.
No.
Would not
That's
happen.
the same as a tattoo. I don't want my tattoo of anybody.
And people come up to you and say, oh, whose initial is that? And you're like, my boyfriend. And they're like, oh, okay. Weird.
I would take it up oh, okay.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Sorry, not for me.
If it was your kid or I would do my name.
I just got this and I told my mom to put it around my neck. And then I was like, Mom, you should get one of 2. And she's like, why? And I was like, get a D for me. Where am I?
Just the one child.
And she's like, is birthing you not enough? And I was like, no, you have to tell people how much you love me. You should do that for your kids. That's cute.
Nathan got me one. It's like an eternity sign. It has the kids' names on it.
That's really cute.
Yeah.
Just not his, though.
No.
That's not forever.
Well, no, attorney of my children, a relationship that can go at any time.
So true.
You know,
I'm glad we're self-aware of that on this podcast. Prenup,
I
baby.
love my husband, but you know, things happen.
Yeah,
you never
no,
know. You can't predict.
totally.
I can't see the future. Apparently.
No, 100%.
Yeah, no, that was good. I enjoy like learning about myself and that sort of thing.
I like when I do these things and the answers come in exactly how I am, because I'm like, okay, I did the answers correctly then.
Yeah.
Right? Because sometimes when you're going through them, like sometimes I'm like, how do I answer this question? I don't even know what it means. But clearly.
What's the one that everybody does? I like. There's one
It's
that
the 16 personality types. It's
There's
like
another one, too.
ENFP or INFJ, those ones.
There's another one I forget.
There's a love language one. Then there's an
Oh,
attachment.
have you done the love language one?
I have done the love
Which ones are
language
your
one.
love languages?
My love languages are I give love by words of affirmation,
Ooh.
and I receive love by like physical touch.
Yeah.
Not that way. And acts of service.
So for me accepting love is acts of service and quality time. And I don't know how
Yes.
I give love.
How do you not know how you give love?
I don't know.
Okay, do you like to hype him up? Well, that's words of affirmation.
So he is the same as you. He's words of affirmation and physical touch. So I know his, so I do that for
You
him.
do that for
It
him.
doesn't come naturally for me.
So what comes naturally for you? Like there's giving
Probably
gifts.
acts of service. Like the way that I take it is probably how it comes naturally for me to give love, which would be like acts of service or spending time with you.
Okay.
Mainly acts of service. But yeah.
That's interesting. I'm not I don't think I'm an acts of service giver. I like to give by words of affirmation.
Yeah. I get it. I'm like, if you want to help me, let me see it.
Yeah. But
Words are words.
I also love receiving words of affirmation because I love when people compliment me.
Oh, that's very interesting. I'm going to compliment you more. Honestly, it really helps. Like as soon as we did that test together, I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And then knowing what your partner needs, you can kind of pivot what you do because it literally like is a crossroad. Like if you're not knowing how to help each
It's
other.
honestly a huge thing. And a lot of, I think this is the first generation really that's doing this. Like I don't think my parents ever
No, like how do you receive your love?
Yeah.
Like no.
So, and it is very, very helpful because exactly then you can pivot. Because you could be giving love to your person in the way that you deem best, but if they're not receiving it, it's not doing anything for them.
Yeah.
You know? So what's the point?
No, it's true. So yeah, it's something that I think every relationship should do. It's a fun little thing.
100%.
And it's interesting how it plays out.
And it's a real thing. It's not just one of those like stupid tests. It's real.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's interesting to see what my kids would be.
You should do it with them.
I couldn't I?
I think they would like it. I think Els would be really into it.
Probably. Yeah.
But do they even have a love language? Like, are they old enough to have a love language?
So like with
I guess
her,
maybe, like,
I know she
parental
doesn't like
love.
when people compliment her. She has a hard time with that. So
used to be
hers
like
would,
that.
hers would probably be physical touch and like quality time. I think majority of kids would probably be quality time because they just want to be around their
100%.
parents all the
Yeah,
time.
and they need attention.
Yeah.
For sure. Did your kids have a hard time? Did Els have a hard time when your son was born and then she wasn't receiving all the attention?
No, she was obsessed.
Really?
She was obsessed. Now she's having a hard time because they're so close in age.
Mm-hmm.
So at the beginning, she was like always around him, trying to help him. She helped me a lot. But now it's getting harder because it's like, oh, you did this for him. I want the same. So,
Aww.
yeah, they're like really butting heads.
Interesting. I've heard a lot of firstborns have an issue when a second child is brought into the mix and then they're like, hello, like I still exist.
Yeah. I think she was so young.
What, she was like 2?
No, she was like 1. They're 14 months apart.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. She was 1 and 2 months.
Oh my goodness.
So she
you
was
had 2 under 2.
Yeah. 202. Well, yeah, 202.
Jeez.
So yeah, no, she was obsessed.
That's cute.
It was helpful.
Did she understand what it was? Like what he was like another person?
Yeah.
My niece, when my nephew was born, thought he was a toy. Like she would like flick him and stuff. It was so funny. We'd be like, you can't do that. It was so cute.
No, she was super nurturing and she's a very nurturing person. So like, yeah, she was She was always like helping me, helping him. She was like obsessed. Loved holding him.
Aw,
Yeah.
she's probably so maternal.
Yeah, she would like rock his little bassinet.
Okay, that is so cute.
And now it's like, get away from me.
Yeah, well, now they've grown up together, so
Yeah.
she's like, you're here to stay. You're not going anywhere.
We have like in our kitchen like the Alexa that shows you like pictures and stuff. So there'll be photos of them like as kids. I'm like, oh my God, remember you liked him at one point. You loved him. And then she's like, oh, we did.
Not anymore.
Not now.
Now he's my arch nemesis.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So what are you looking forward to for the end of summer in real estate?
In real estate, all I can say is I hope the market picks up. Don't know if it will, to be honest. Rates have been going down though. We're getting some pretty good rates recently, which is helping people because I'm putting people into fixed now more than variable.
Yeah.
So it is helping close some files. I also wanted to touch on this before. A lot of renewals are coming up between this year and next year. However, a small piece of advice, I'm actually turning a lot of clients away because if you're already receiving an amazing rate of renewal at your current bank or lender and you're not looking to get extra funds, it may not be worth your time to go through the whole process with a different bank just to get the same rate or maybe like a little bit better.
Because if you're doing a renewal with your current lender, they don't need to go through any paperwork.
It's a straight renewal.
Yeah, here's the new rate. You take it. That's it. Where if they want to shop around and get you to kind of you have to requalify.
I have to requalify them, and it is worth it. Don't get me wrong. If you are looking for extra money, say you've built up equity in your home and you need extra money for whatever reason, it is worth it.
Yep.
And then also switching to another bank can sometimes get you cash back, which also helps. But you will have to pay for an appraisal. You'll have to pay for new legal fees. You'll have to requalify. We'll have to pull your credit. So obviously I don't like to turn business away, but I also have a fiduciary duty to my clients to explain that if you are getting a good rate and I can only match it at best with a different lender, just stay with your lender.
Yeah.
So that's another, like you don't, just because you're coming up for renewal doesn't mean you always have to switch.
Which is good advice.
What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to hopefully we have good news in a couple weeks. Not saying that it's going to make a huge impact, but I think with more days on market for sellers, I'm looking forward for them to have a little bit more realistic expectations. Yes. And then buyers to be a little bit more motivated.
Yeah.
That's ideal. But I'm having this conversation now with a lot of people because so people that were renewing this year bought just before, if they did a 5-year, they bought
2019.
Just before everything went crazy.
Yeah.
So next year is when we're going to be seeing people that bought in the hype through pandemic.
Yes.
So we may be seeing a lot more listings come to market.
Yeah.
So I'm having a lot of conversations with people who are thinking of selling in like 6 months or whatever it may be. And I'm saying, listen, we don't know what will happen, but this is what is projected for next year, that there's going to be way more renewals happening. And they bought at high prices. So if things stay the same, it may be more suitable for you to offload depending on what their situation is now, sell now, opposed to next year. If
that's
you're
actually
selling.
really smart.
Yeah.
That's really smart.
So that's, who knows what will happen, but that's kind of my prediction. If we were already seeing it somewhat happen now with more properties come to market, we're going to see a lot more next year.
That's a really good point that you're making because people who bought in 2019 or closed in 2019 don't have as low of an interest rate on their mortgage as people who bought in 2021, 2022 that are going to be coming up for renewal.
I moved in 2019.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those people.
Exactly. So you probably have like what, mid threes or like low threes?
2.85.
Yeah. So you will have not as much of a payment shock coming this year if you choose to go with a fixed, for example. I know your situation's a little bit different, but say you were going into a fixed, you could probably get like high fours.
Honestly, like we did the analysis, it's not that much.
Yeah.
It's like maybe $1,000 to $1,500 max.
Yeah. Which for people like myself, so I did buy in 2019, same time as you, but then I refied in 2021 to get a lower interest rate. So I'm at like a 1.4 fixed right now.
Oh, God bless
like
you.
Fixed.
And when are you up?
2026.
Oh, good.
So that's going to be a much higher payment shock for me next year. Or sorry. Oh, 2 years.
2 years.
Okay. I still have 2 years. So hopefully it has stabilized by then. I was like, next year. Oh my God, I'm screwed.
No, you're good. No, you're good.
Yeah, 2 years. Okay. So yeah, hopefully by then.
You know, you're the anomaly of the mortgage broker.
100%.
Because every mortgage broker that I've been dealing with, like I've actually sold a couple of their homes and they went variable. They all went variable. And I was like, are you sure? Like, yeah. I'm like, okay. It's not my place. It's your business, you know.
Yeah.
But I always like fixed. I'm a fixed. I want to know my thing. We're done. We're good.
For me, I just was like, how can I pass up a 1.4% fixed interest rate? That's
huge.
It's huge. Even though, honestly, I could have gotten the same at variable at that point because my brother, I refied him too, but he wanted to go into a variable. And I was like, fine, here's a 1.4% variable for you. But now he's at like 5.85 or whatever, right? And he's in the same boat as everybody else
Is
where...
he kicking himself that you took the fixed?
Yeah. So now I'm like, okay, going forward, we'll put you into a fixed.
Yeah.
I mean... nobody has a crystal ball, right? So we can't say anyone did it wrong or anyone did it right. I honestly was probably the best financial decision I made in my life, and I am gonna run with it. But nobody can predict the future. Huge.
Yeah. Okay, so we were looking at the same. I'm like,
Huge.
it doesn't make sense.
No, for us it made sense because you got a really good rate.
Yeah.
I had 3.39.
Okay.
So I was saving 2%
Yeah.
per year.
It
made sense for me to break it. I paid $40,000 as a penalty.
So ours was 60.
Oh my God.
Ours was
It's because
60.
your rate was lower. That's why.
I think so. Yeah, ours was 60.
That's
and
why.
we're like, no, we'll just, because we have a plan. So we're like, we're good.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, yours, you had a lower interest rate, which means your delta, you wouldn't be saving as much by switching. And B, your penalty would have been higher because your rate was lower. That's just how it works.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is a very good choice.
Yeah. It's honestly, I was like, I don't think I'll ever make such a good financial decision again. But hey.
No, don't say that.
Because everyone's like, why did you do that? And I was like, honestly, I don't know. I just went with my gut and I was like, this is right. But yeah, it's been great. Our mortgage payments have been so low and they're going to stay low and we're paying off our principal. Honestly, we even went accelerated bi-weekly. So we're paying it off even faster, but it's still slow.
Yeah,
payment,
that's very good.
Which is nice. Yeah. But
do you have any tips for people if they are, I know you've shared some things already, but what they should be looking for? No, like you said, if they're getting a decent rate and the headache, just stay with who they are.
Just stay with your lender. Yeah. Any other tips? No, I would honestly say people who are in a variable rate mortgage and who are coming up for renewal within the next 6 months to a year, definitely talk to your mortgage advisor, your mortgage agent, broker, specialist, whoever you're dealing with, to come up with a plan to either refinance or set some money aside because you're going to have to pay that interest payment upon renewal. And I don't want people to be blindsided by that.
I remember my question.
Okay.
When should they start that?
As early as they can.
Okay.
As early as they can. Typically, you're allowed to renew with the same lender up to 120 days before your maturity date.
Now, does that, as soon as you do that, does that kick in right when you, like, so does it kick in right away or does it happen once you hit your maturity date?
Does what kick in right away?
Like your new agreement with them?
So if you are renewing up to 120 days in advance, it would just kick in as soon as you renew.
So like that 100 days before?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, but if you're staying until your maturity date, then it would just stay then.
Okay. And then what's the least amount of time if they're just staying with who they are with? When is the latest time that they could just tell their bank?
Renew?
Yeah.
I would say probably a week to 2 weeks before your renewal date. They need at least that much of a buffer.
Okay.
Yeah, to do it. But do it as soon as possible. What I'm saying, do as soon as possible is the refinancing or setting money aside, the conversation, because life comes at you and then you don't want to be blindsided. Right.
Well, with what you mentioned with those variable types,
it's
start
really
reaching
scary.
out to Deepika.
It's really, really scary.
I heard it, but when you said it again, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, totally forgot that's a thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of people on variables. I actually had to sit down with my brother last weekend to look over his mortgage agreement, like his current amortization. And I was like, are you still at your 25 years? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, good. I'm like, it's really important. Put money. And I know it's not the case for everybody. Not everybody can put lump sum payments towards their mortgage.
Yeah.
I 100% understand that. It's been rough over the past couple of years, and I'm helping tons of people pile out of their debt right now. And people are drowning in debt. And I am so empathetic towards those people, right? So I understand it's not the case for everybody, but if you can, or if you have equity in your home that you're able to do the refinance, just so you have the money, do it now.
And like little by little, people don't realize, like, I know for me, I'm like, oh, it's only like X amount. Does that make a difference? But if you put it aside consistently, it builds.
Yeah. I had a client who was coming up for renewal with CIBC who they were offering him 7.79 on a 3-year fixed. And to take that into consideration, most A lenders on a renewal are offering around like 4.89, 4.99 on a 3-year fixed. So I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, is he like behind on his payments, or is his credit shot or something like that? So I looked at his statement, and he was $7,000 behind in deferred interest / mortgage arrears. So he went back to the bank. He's like, hey, I'll pay this off. And then they offered him a lower rate.
They didn't even tell him that was an option?
No. So then they gave him like a 5.2 or something like that. But yeah, because I looked at it, because they came to me and they're like, hey, can you refinance me somewhere else? And I'm like, yeah, that interest rate is atrocious. And then I looked at their statement and it said mortgage arrears. And I'm like, hey, are you guys not making your mortgage payments? And then they're like, oh, no, that's just the deferred interest on the variable, whatever. So they ended up staying with their own bank, which I am like, that's fine if they're giving you a good rate. But yeah, look out for that, everyone.
I find it like it's the year of the renewals.
This year and next year, over 3 million homeowners / mortgages are coming up for renewal, which is a lot.
That's crazy.
It's a lot.
Well, a lot of people did move during the pandemic, and I think now we're like kind of everything's settling in.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to see what's going to happen next year. I have a client right now who already has their house listed, and their thought was they bought new build, closes next year. They rather sell now and avoid a influx of listings that they're going to be competing against. So they factored, I rather sell now if the if the value goes up, whatever it is, it's not as significant for them.
It is,
yeah. So they're thinking, I rather have an easier time now to sell, opposed to potentially having more competition next year and a lower sale price.
Yeah. Because you're right. It could go either way. Just because interest rates are going down is not guaranteed that prices will go up. I mean, technically it is if you look at the economics of it. But if there's so much more competition happening, there's so many more properties being listed, I don't know. But that could also drive prices up, because what if a lot of those properties are foreclosures because people just can't make their mortgage payments?
Prices up, it would go down.
If they're foreclosures?
Yeah. Foreclosures aren't the same that people, people think foreclosures are like you're going to get this big deal.
Yeah. Really?
No.
Oh, is that a myth?
Well, you know what? It used to be that way when I started, where we were just looking at for bank foreclosures and that sort of thing, because you could get a deal there. Nowadays, they sell at same market value.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
The banks want their money. Well, what happens is whatever their mortgages they take, and then the rest goes to the seller.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting times. Yeah. That is now a fable. To me, it is.
Good to know. And is it true, like, the banks give their foreclosures to a specific realtors? Not every realtor has access to, like, the foreclosures list? Because a lot of clients have come to me and they're like, hey, if you have any realtors that have access to foreclosures list, we're looking for specifically foreclosures. And I've talked to a bunch of realtors and I haven't been able. I don't know. I
don't have access to it, so I'm gonna say no.
Yeah.
Because somebody in our offices that I've worked at would have it. So they put it on MLS. And there's a way that we can search for it on MLS.
Okay, so there is.
There's a way that I can search for it. Like, so I know on Facebook and stuff, people advertise, like, get a foreclosure list.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is basically doing the same search the way that I would do it to find a foreclosure.
Is there like a foreclosures filter?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm not giving my secret away. But yes, there's a way to do it.
Go to Natalie if you want those foreclosures.
So then they just send that list. There's that's how they're doing it.
Okay.
So you
So
can
you do
it,
have access. So everyone does
but it's
have
on
access
MLS.
to it.
Everybody has access to it.
Okay,
But right
okay.
now, you can find deals anywhere. That's the thing. Like there's so many deals out here where you don't need to look specifically for foreclosures where people think, oh my God, it's a thing. In the States it is,
Yeah.
but not here.
Interesting. That's
Yeah.
good to know. Another tidbit of information.
Yeah, I could be completely wrong, but who knows? Yep. All right. Well,
That was it,
sums it up.
I think. What an interesting episode today.
Thanks for joining us. If you guys liked what we were saying, please like and share. And we'll see you
We would love
next
to hear
time.
feedback from you guys too. If you ever want any specific topics to be talked about in the future, that would be really helpful for us as well.
Yes. Thank you,
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.